Remember that scene in The Matrix where Morpheus and Neo are on the top of a building and Morpheus is trying to get Neo to see that everything about the Matrix is fake, that it's a simulation? Well, we're in the liberation stage. Just like Morpheus, we're trying to set your mind free so that you can accomplish a transformational career change. Let's get to it. Hi, I'm Paul Peixoto with WholeWorker, and I've been training professionals like yourself in career development skills for the past 20 years. Hey, give this video a like right now, and when you do, subscribe to my channel and ring that bell so that you get notification every time I post a new video. Now, stick with me to the end because I've got a free download for you that's going to take your career development skills to the next level. This is the third stage in our 6-stage process to bring you to a transformational career change. This is the liberation stage, and this is where it really gets fun. In the first 2 stages, the reflect stage and the identity stage, we did some inner work, trying to discover what it is that we really want to do with our work. What's the thing we really want to set our hand to? What's the work we've been dying to do? And we did that by reflecting on our past career and taking a look at some of the things that we liked and didn't like about that. And then we took, in the identity stage, we took a look at what it is that we really like to do, what our strengths are, what our passions are, what we're gifted and skilled at, all of those things. If you haven't seen those videos, you can see them right here. Check out these links. They'll show up above my head there. I think I pointed in the right direction. So there's two links there. There's a video on the reflection stage and then a video on the identity stage. And this is the third stage, the liberation stage. This is where it really gets fun. We're going to talk about stories, mantras, fears, and community. All right? Those are the 4 tools that we're going to use to liberate us from the past so that we can go on to the future and get to the work we really want to do. Now let's talk about mantras and stories. But before we do that, let me lay down some groundwork here. Both of those things are thoughts in your head. And thoughts in your head are just that. They're thoughts in your head. We decide to give them power or not. Our tendency is to give the negative ones more power than the positive ones. That's a self-protective mechanism that's hardwired into us. So don't beat yourself up by having those negative thoughts in your head all the time. So we're going to talk about negative thoughts in the form of mantras and stories. All right? Okay, now let's talk about mantras. Now, you may have heard the term before and you might think, this doesn't apply to me. But let me tell you, you already have mantras, and most likely they're negative mantras. Mantras are those little sound loops that we play, those tapes in our head that play over and over and over, that usually are not really true about us. Some common negative mantras are, I'm not smart enough, or I'm just not smart, just point blank, right? I'm just not smart. I'm a failure is a common negative mantra, or no one cares about me. That's another mantra. You might have some mantras that you play over and over in your head. In terms of our careers and our work life, very often a common mantra is, I'm an imposter here. You know, most of us don't attack our career with some straight career path. Some of us learned our skills on the job. Some of us learned it in academic training. Lots of us are a mixture of those 2 things. And so when we get on the job, when we get into our career for a number of years, because we did take that straight career path like we assumed the ideal person did, that we are an imposter, that if anybody really knew it, that we're really not an expert in our field. Now, you wouldn't have gotten where you are today if you weren't an expert in your field to some degree. So that one is another negative, very common mantra that applies to our careers or our work life. I'm an imposter. So be careful of that. Those are negative mantras. What we want to do, so now hopefully I've convinced you that you already have mantras. So what we want to do is we want to create some positive mantras. All right, so I want to give you some guidelines in order to do that. A good mantra, a good positive mantra, has 3 characteristics. The first is, it's a true statement that leads. It's a true statement that leads you in the direction you want to go, okay? Most of those mantras, those negative mantras that I mentioned already, and any other ones probably that you can mention, are not necessarily true statements. I am stupid is not a true statement. I am very smart. The problem is there are some things I don't know. So I start to feed on that and think I'm stupid in everything, and that is not true, right? So a good mantra is a true statement that leads. Secondly, it's short and memorable. It's not necessarily a full sentence. Now, I'm a failure is technically, grammatically a full sentence, but it's short and memorable. That's why your mind keeps playing it over and over. So you want the same to be true of your positive mantras. You want it to be short and memorable. Usually a short phrase, 3 or 4 words at most if possible. And thirdly, the third characteristic of a good mantra is that it energizes positive feelings. That's the whole point. It's to put us in a positive frame of mind, to put us in a positive mood, to put us in a positive state. All different words to say the same thing. All right, so it's a true statement that leads, it's short and memorable, and it energizes positive feelings. That's a good mantra. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a look at the negative mantras that you already have in your mind. You might want to list them out. As a matter of fact, that's an excellent thing to do. Write them down. And then I want you to create the opposite of each one. I want you to create a positive mantra to replace those old negative mantras. And you're going to just say these to yourself over and over because you have been. This is how mantras work. You have been saying them to yourself over and over anyway. So you might as well have some good positive ones. So create some new positive ones. Create one positive one for every negative one that you've written down. And additionally, you can come up with some whole new mantras. Maybe you didn't have a negative mantra in that respect, but you want a new one that points you in a certain direction. Go ahead and create some new ones, all right? Those are mantras. We're going to take the old ones, throw them out, get liberated from those, and create some new positive mantras. Hey, now that we've just gone over mantras, maybe you've discovered some things, some mantras about yourself. I'd love to know what those are. Let me know what the old mantra was and what the new mantra is. Put it in the comments below, that'd be great. If you're having some trouble coming up with mantras, I've got a great resource for you in the form of an app. It's called ThinkUp.me. That's ThinkUp.me. Check it out. I've got the link in the comments, but not in the comments, in the show notes below. Feel free to check that out. That might help you. It's an app that resides on your phone and it comes up with mantras for you. Not necessarily applicable directly to your career, but life-affirming mantras. All right, so check that out. Now let's talk about the stories we tell ourselves. First, let's define stories as opposed to mantras. Well, one of the ways we can define it is they're really mantras with characters and a plot, right? Because it's a story. One of the characters, certainly ourselves, there might be a few other characters in there, and there's a plot. Very often, the stories we tell ourselves are relived failures. That's what they are. So that time when a meeting just went south on you, we replay that over and over and over again. For me as a trainer, as a corporate trainer, there are trainings that just got off track a little bit, and I play that over and over in my mind. Now that may have happened once in years, but I play that track over and over as if it constantly happens. And quite frankly, it doesn't. But we do that because we fixate on the negative. So what we want to do, this one's very simple. I want you to ask yourself, what would life be like without that negative story in my head? What would it be like? Think about it for a second. Most likely, it would be like that picture that you started to create in the identity stage of this 6-step process. Now, if you haven't seen that video on identity, you could check it out. The suggestion card will be right above me. I never know where to point. I think it's right there, right? So check out that video if you skip the identity stage. In the identify stage, I said identity, I meant identify. In the identify stage, we're identifying the kind of work we really want to do, and we start to create a picture in our head of what that work looked like. That's probably what life looked like, what life would look like without that negative story in your head. All right, so we want to replace, just like we did with mantras, we want to replace the negative stories with positive stories. Now, we're not talking about making things up here, okay? I'm talking about actually finding a positive story that counteracts the narrative that says you do this all the time. It's not true. So, for example, to use myself, when I'm thinking of that time where a training really flopped, I think of another time where training went really, really well, and I play that loop in my head over and over and over again. This is what athletes do when they visualize success. We're doing the same thing. We're playing that story out. Hear the sounds, hear the dialogue going on between the characters, yourself and whoever else is in that story, and watch that thing unfold to success. We want to imprint these on our brains by telling them to ourselves over and over and over. By doing that, we'll liberate ourselves from those false negative stories. And finally here, let's talk about community. This is another tool you want to put in place to liberate yourself from all of these negative factors that keep you locked into work that you really don't enjoy. So, why do you need community? Well, no one accomplishes anything great alone. We all do this with a team of people around us, and I want to encourage you to build that team of people around you. Surround yourself with people who have the same values that go in the direction of the work you really want to do. So let's say the work you really want to do is writing a book, and you've never written a book before. Then you need to surround yourself with people who have published their own books, all right? So that you have the same values, that you learn from them, that you're in that positive mental state along with them, that you too can accomplish this. But not only people, but there's other resources that you can surround yourself with. So it might be books or videos or TV shows or documentaries, things that move you in the direction that you want to move. So surround yourself with that community, the community of resources, of people, and things. That's really, really important. Now, why do you need a community around you? Well, I said no one does anything great alone. That's really true. There are 3 specific reasons why you need a community around you. And I want to particularly emphasize that you get a small group of people that you can regularly chat with about your transformational career change, all right? So, and you need those people around you for these 3 reasons. One is you need cheerleaders. We all need cheerleaders, okay? So you're gonna need people to push you on, to excite you to go on to success when times get tough, because they are gonna get tough as you attempt to make this change. So you need cheerleaders. The other thing you need is you need people to bounce things off of, bounce ideas off of, to get a reality check. Really important that you have a community around you that you can get a reality check from. I'm thinking this. Is that reality? Am I thinking correctly, or is that just my negative thinking gone haywire again? And the third reason you need a community around you is you need it to glean their wisdom. If we take the example I use of if you're going to write a book, you want to get authors around you, they have some wisdom that you don't have. They've written and published and you have not. So there's some things you can learn from them. So you want to ask them questions. So we need a community of people around us for those 3 reasons: to make get a reality check, to glean their wisdom, and to act as our cheerleaders. Really, really important that you get a community of small people around you. And this has never been easier than it is today. With all the facility we have with the internet and with social media in particular, you can get a small group together, a subgroup on Facebook of your friends, hive them off into a group-only page, and you can use that to exchange ideas and chat with them and get all of those 3 elements flowing in your transformational career change. So, get a community around you. It's really, really important to liberate yourself and move into the job you really want to do. I hope you found that information helpful in your career change process. Now, if you want to take it a step further, I've got a free download for you in the form of a Career Changers Checklist. On it are a number of action items that take you through the 6 stages of making a transformational career change. Now, in addition to that, there are clickable links in the document that will take you to additional videos that will give further explanation to those action items. So feel free to download that right now. The link is in the show notes below. Now, there's multiple ways you can connect with the WholeWorker community: on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, but the best way is right here on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video, and subscribe to the channel and ring that bell when you do. That way you'll get notification every time I post a new video. Hey, if there's something in particular that helped you in this video, I'd love to hear it in the comments below. Or just type the word helpful. I'm Paul Peixoto with WholeWorker. Thanks for watching.